Hey folks, and welcome back here to Run Productions as we continue to bring you coverage of the 2023 Myrtle Beach Open presented by Innova out at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're with our feature card on the back nine. If you haven't checked out the front nine, please do. Once again, I'm Dustin Murray, bringing you the commentary alongside Nathan Queen. And happy to have you back, sir.
Yeah, happy to be out here. Saw some action on that front nine. Braden Sides jumping out front of everybody with a huge 12 down to get it started early on in the day.
Yeah, and as you can see, we got several players in that 6 to 5 under range through the front half of the course as they're heading towards the backside. You're certainly not too far out of it yourself at 4 under par through the front nine as we now head into hole number 3, which again, if you guys didn't know, they did start on hole 12 just to kind of, freshen up the pace of play and spectating purposes, so that's why the hole numbers are a little bit different than maybe what you'd expect.
Yeah, but starting back nine here on hole 3, 330-foot par 3, 2 gaps to hit. Pretty much everybody's going to go that right side gap as it is a little bit wider, but pretty straight shot. Mellow mid-range or mellow backhand.
Oh.
Or excuse me, mellow fairway.
Mellow mid-range. I like that. I might have to steal that from you.
Going with the mellow Mako 3 here.
I haven't heard of that plastic type. So it must be something they're cooking up over there.
It works out nicely. Gets me inside circle 1. Corey Addy. Also looking with a pretty straight shot.
Yep, and this is a mid-range we have seen Cale throw quite a lot already. Kind of his trusty straight shot, and, serves him well once again. Maybe a little shorter than he wanted.
Yeah, just a little bit low on that one. As we mentioned on the front nine, he is playing this course blind. So all his shots are first shots on this course.
And unfortunately, Nick Hanson's going to get a little bit caught up there off the tee. Had a couple of putting woes on the front nine, but was overall throwing pretty well. But he's going to have to settle for par on this one.
Yeah, pretty good upshot there. A little bit left, but Cale Leiviska trying to give this one a long bid.
Catches the far right chains there, but certainly not enough to stay in the basket. So it'll be a par for him as Nick Hanson will be able to clean up that. And I think that's a nice confident putt to hit after a couple of putting issues there on the opening 9 holes.
Yeah, that one may be a little bit closer than the ones that he missed, but not by much. So still definitely a confidence builder to be able to hit that one.
Speaking of confidence builders.
I've got a nice little birdie streak going, 5 in a row there.
Indeed, keeping yourself in the hunt at 5 under par. Got Corey Addy just behind you, who, by the way, if you haven't seen the front nine yet, first of all, definitely go watch it. Second of all, man's on fire in the putting green.
Yeah, Corey Addy showing why he is being featured here on this feature card. Got the hot putter going, showed us some good distance out there on hole 16.
So you kind of see yourself and Corey Addy breaking away just a touch here as we head into hole number 4.
Yeah, 296-foot par 3. Again, a bit of a tight gap. Nothing super tight. Definitely reasonable to hit. And fades slightly off to the right at the end. If you turn a little bit early, there's still a gap. But you are going to find that one tree in the middle just before the basket. So if you turn too early, make sure you turn too much too early where you miss those couple of trees and still get yourself inside circle 1.
Just maybe a little touch inside there.
Yeah, well too early on that one. It's going to put you in par zone there.
Corey Addy looked like he was kind of drifting in the same problem area that you were. He's actually to fight up there quite a bit.
Yeah, he actually threw that farther inside than I did and got sneakier. He was able to sneak on up there. Cale also sneaking through the same area that I did. All of us missing the intended line here. But Cale going to be just outside circle one.
Nick hitting the initial line pretty well, but is going to catch one of those trees near the center of the fairway, and so he's going to have some scrambling to do here.
Yeah, not the best showing here on hole 4, making it look pretty tough. As Nick gets a pretty big skip out of that shot and is again going to leave himself a tester par putt.
You're able to put yourself in a solid position to save par. Okay, man. Like, it's actually getting unreal how many long putts Corey Addy is hitting. This is his 4th or 5th run back of the first round, and we're, what, like on hole 11?
Oh, man, it's just ridiculous.
Again, I feel like I'm not doing it justice, but I think it's at this point, we're not even surprised anymore because he's hit so many of them. Well, okay, Cale.
Yeah, once
you know,
if he does miss, we'll get surprised. But Cale finally dialing one up there. He's been close a few times this round as well, trying to keep up with Corey on that one.
Yeah, not trying to get outdone. But yeah, again, shout out to Corey Addy for just some beautiful putting this first round. As Nick Hanson is starting to find himself on the putting green, hitting a couple of good, solid par putts after a bit of a slow start.
Yeah, he'd clearly like them to be for birdie, but he is now hitting those par putts, which is much needed.
Solid putt for yourself as well.
And a bit farther than I expected that one to be when I walked up to it, but able to connect.
Yeah, a couple of players at 5 under. We're going to take a short break here.
Quit being stuck in the past. Check out the new and improved website at infinitediscs.com.
A little bit of a chase card check-in here. This is Micah Groth, one of those young up-and-coming players in the pro scene. Throwing a great shot here. This is now Grady Shue, who's 5 down through 11 holes. So just kind of trying to show you some of the players who are also having themselves a good start here to the tournament.
Yeah, plus we had a little bit of extra time on this tee pad for them to get these shots. Oh, very nice of them to add them in here. So Grady also gets a nice drive out there. Pretty good kick.
Yep, and so this is Micah now on the approach shot. As, of course, Micah made a big name for himself because he did really well. Didn't he? I think he won the NADGT National Championships, if I'm not mistaken. So, an event that certainly has kind of built itself up there to be kind of in a similar level of prestige as like US AMs or, AM Worlds kind of status. Actually cashed, I think, $10,000 on that event. That was back in 2021. So, Michael Groth certainly one for the future.
Yeah, and after watching them throw hole 5, here we are, 818-foot par 4. It does play down this older road here. This is actually an old airport property that the course is on. So shout out to them for letting us get a disc golf course out here. I'm going to follow this road all the way down. Try not to skip off of it too far off of your drive so you can then throw your second shot. Curves off to the right just a bit. Pretty reachable, even though it's 818 feet. Seems like the road helps you play a little bit farther off the tee.
And what kind of OB are we looking at on a hole like this?
No
Okay.
OB. Just it's brutal in there on the right side. If you get in there right, you probably won't get out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just know sometimes when people see a big, long road like this, they will maybe assume that it's an OB river or an OB line, but yeah, it kind of takes up the hole, so it is essentially a fairway.
And I told Cale to kiss that disc goodbye. He said it was a pretty used one already anyway, as it slid across that gravel pavement. I get a very nice kick. I also threw a disc that I wasn't worried about hitting the pavement, but clearly I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, this one just looks a little too outside. Didn't quite have the turn that Nick was probably expecting. And yeah, he is shooting a National Geographic documentary right now.
Yeah, I get left side's probably just as rough as the right side once you get all the way over there. And he found one of those spots.
Yeah, really didn't have much left to do but just kind of pitch out. But, you know, he got a touch of forward progress out of it as well. But still will be next to act.
Yeah, he's got good power, so it's possible to reach the pin from here, but very difficult. And this looks like it's going to be a bit early, right? Back in another pretty difficult position.
Looking solid out of your hand.
I thought so as well.
Oh, man. Did I curse you from the future? Like, I'm sorry about that.
You must have. Yeah, that was that same disc that I threw off of the tee, so I thought it was going to get that big drift left like I did as well. And just not quite. Going to be back in the woods on the right.
And we got Corey Addy here. Going to have to just settle for par after kind of hitting a disc that just kind of stay on that left-hand side. So now get up to Cale.
We've already seen Cale play it safe a couple times on the course, but it looks like he is getting aggressive on this one and also turns it over a bit early. I think he does punch out a little bit more than it looked like, though. Shouldn't have too much trouble.
Looks like he got all the way through, so I feel like he should have a pretty clean look on his next shot. A little overhand specialty here.
Specialty is quite the wrong word. I was just gonna say this might be my first tournament forehand. I don't know. Or not forehand, excuse me. Thumber.
I was trying to hype you up.
I don't know. Yeah, it worked out okay.
That's gross.
I didn't quite get as far as I wanted, but I don't ever do it, so I can't be upset about it.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, kind of just making a miracle out of that. That was a really well done scramble shot there. As if he would have thrown that in, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, almost as planned birdie from 190.
That's a solid up there. Long putt ahead for you.
Yeah, gonna try to get my par.
Nearly.
Yeah, I could tell I didn't like it out of my hand watching it. It's been a little bit since the tournament now, but
I believe this is
not a bogey you want to pick up.
First weekend of November.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of see the card clean up, lick their wounds a little bit in a couple of cases. As this hole did give a little bit of trouble out there. A couple of bogeys on the card here for the feature. But we will now put that behind us and move on to the next hole here.
Yeah, pretty easy par 3. One of the easier ones on the course, if not the easiest. 210 feet. Little bit of drift to the left and then fall back right. There's also a straight line that you can go through that's a little bit tighter, but pretty short. One of those ones that if you don't get, it really doesn't feel all that good.
Yeah, anytime you go to a hole that's 210 feet, it's one you really want to snag, no doubt about that. Unfortunately, that has shot way off course.
Yeah, Corey a bit early on the release on that one. Didn't quite find the intended fairway. Cale flying straight down that intended fairway. Gonna be just up there, pin height off to the left.
Yeah, well within the circle for sure. Beautiful flight.
Again, going to that really beat-in star gator. Not a bad shot. Left it right about circle's edge.
Nick catching an early tree as well here as he tried to go the forehand route. It's just been a touch off than what I'm used to seeing from Nick. Nick's a really strong competitor, but he's just had a little bit of a tough day.
Yeah, sometimes that park style of course can make you feel a little bit off as a player because you're kind of in the woods here, but it's pretty windy, but you're in a park, so you still see all these cars going on the road. It can just be kind of an odd feeling if you don't quite prepare yourself right for it.
So we're going to see Cale find what looks to be the lone birdie on this hole. Everyone else just kind of cleaning up.
Yeah. One birdie on the short 210-foot par 3. Averaging 2.47 over a half stroke under par. One you got to get.
Hey, you threw those putters back in your cart with style, though. I do appreciate that.
And I pulled them on to hole 7. 263-foot par 3. This one is a bit of an odd angle that you have to hit, especially if you're the right-handed backhand variety of thrower. Those two trees you see on the right, you've got to get just around them and then pretty quickly fade off to the right. Very easy to push yourself too long on this hole and not move right in time. Also easy to end up sawing it off trying to make sure you move to the right. This shot that Cale is throwing, the most difficult to get inside circle 1.
Yeah, not quite going to get there. Probably around 35 to 38 feet on his putt.
Yeah, which is really good for that shot. Corey getting a little sneaky here. Goes inside those two trees, it looks like, but going to go with the park job. Because of the funny angles on this one, I end up going standstill Halo Thunderbird. Not something that I've ever really thought of before on a different course, from a tee pad at least. That one worked out well, though.
And Nick just continuing to have a couple of struggles here. Going to be inside with that forehand and has a long putt ahead of him. Not even sure if he's going to have an open look. Yeah, he's kind of in the thickness here.
No open look, but should be easy par from there. Cale has the long birdie look. And he's going to keep that hot streak going.
Talking about Corey Addy hitting a bunch of long putts. You're starting to see Cale connect on quite a few of these from range as well now. He is creeping up the leaderboard. He's now himself, I believe, 5 under par. Really nice putt there from Cale. 3 for 5.
Yeah, very nice nose angle.
Check you out.
All right, able to connect on another birdie. Get back that bogey I took back on hole 5. Trying to get things going a bit.
Yes, Nick will clean up the par there. And Corey essentially had to drop in after a beautiful forehand off the tee. So he'll be able to put a birdie on the board as well.
Yeah, maintain that lead on the card.
6 under with Cale and yourself just 1 stroke behind. So you take a short break.
The Innova Rolo, the disc made for rolling. 4. The Rolo, making rollers fun.
to hole 8 here at Splinter City, 320-foot par 3. Kind of similar to hole 7 with that funny angle, except now you've got to go off to the left. You want to get around that light pole, kind of a bit of a nose-up stall shot rather than a pushing forward shot. Try to fade back to the left and end up inside circle 1.
Cale to be first to act here on this 320-foot hole. Get caught on the corner there.
Yeah, just not quite wide enough. I liked the angle on that one if it was more right.
Really nicely done here from Corey Addy.
Yeah, that's the way you draw it up. There used to be a little lefty gap over the left side. The branches have closed up on it now. So I was trying a very tight line and didn't even think about hitting that tree, but there it is.
Yeah, I would imagine this is a pretty tough lefty hole.
Yeah, not the easiest shot to pull off, but definitely doable as Nick Hanson does it about as well as you can.
Great to see him hit a nice tee shot. Oh. Interesting.
And you could hear me say in the background, oh, that's so lucky. And yes, it was. I am now up there. Easy par.
Got a little X Games action on that one.
Sweet.
Just a little grind off the tree. Putting yourself up there.
Oh, yeah, I'll take it.
Who wouldn't? So we're going to see Cale able to scramble himself up there to save par as well. A little touch forehand gets him up there. It looks like y'all are having a good time out there. I'll say that. Looks like a fun card.
Oh, yeah. Hard not to down at Myrtle Beach.
Another birdie there for Corey Addy. Puts in the 7 under. Putting himself, nicely on pace. Some of those guys we saw at the top of the leaderboard during our little check-in.
Yeah, he's got a chance. Few holes left to get himself up to that double-digit mark. Braden Sides, as we saw earlier, started off earlier on in the day. Already came in with that 12 under par. Everybody chasing him.
Indeed, just a few holes left to go here on this opening round. As I think Bleak Don't play a different course for the second round, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, Sockesty Recreation Park. Maybe one of the last years we get to use the layout that's there now. But that brings us into hole 9, 428-foot par 3. Another very difficult par 3 to get the 2 on. I think this hole does move left to right, but I think that the ideal tee shot is going to be a righty backhand hyzer flip shot. You push out straight, have it turn up and turn right about halfway there, then slowly drift back left. But very difficult angle to hit, no matter what you try. Lefty backhand. Difficult to get it to not skip too far right. And Corey almost had that line right. Just a little bit more turn on that. Still going to be in a good spot to get his par.
looks like Nick's going to wind up in kind of a similar area there to Corey Addy.
Yeah, just a little bit too wide out of the hand on Nick. This is closer from Cale, but actually gets a little bit too early on the turn. No matter, as he sneaks through some trees, going to be right around circle two's edge there.
Flight's up there a decent bit.
Yeah, not much of a putt from in there, but difficult to not skip over that way. It's hard to get such a late stand-up on this hole anyway for that distance.
And you're having to play that faster speed disc, so definitely going to open up that ground action for you. As we are going to see Nick Hanson just pitch up there for the par. Cale has a slight look at this one.
Yeah, he's been heating that putter up, hitting some putts and had a good line on that one, just not quite the distance.
Yeah, I was convinced there for a moment that was going to find itself at the bottom of the basket, but he'll have to settle for par. Same for Corey Addy as he has a good pitch out forehand there. And we'll see what you're left with. Not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot. Didn't want to get too aggressive on that one, so I just pitched it on out for the par. Just 2 birdies on the day on this hole. Anthony Anselmo and Roy Nixon. The only 2 able to get it. And while I'm shouting people out, I missed it back on hole 1. Andrew Marweed able to get the ace.
Oh, wow.
Hole 1.
Well, there you have it. As we take a look at the scorer box here, just a couple of holes left to go. Corey at 7 under, yourself at 5 under. Same for Cale as we move into hole number 10.
Yeah, this hole averaging right at par. 408-foot par 3. See those 2 trees there? They kind of define the gap. You preferably like to go between those 2. As you see, there is a little bit of room on the right side. But low ceiling keeps this one a little bit harder to reach. So although 408 feet, likely you will see some distance drivers.
How far is that gap off the tee, would you say?
That gap's probably 160, 180. So the ceiling on that gap is really what causes a lot of trouble. As you see Corey go straight up towards that ceiling. Gets a little bit farther than you would expect, but still does get knocked back down.
That's just a little too much turn from Nick, but man, that was still a beautiful shot.
Yeah, started off right down the middle, just caught a little bit too much drift. I believe that was one of his Millennium Falcons.
To be clear, not the Star Wars ship, but...
Well, it could have been. Going back to one of my Champion Color Glow Tour Series rates here, getting a nice little kickback into the fairway. Probably 40 feet or so, another circle 2 look.
Yeah, not bad at all. So we got Cale here, giving it a toss for par. No problems. Nick trying to give it a go. Throws it a little deep of the basket.
Let's see if Corey Addy can add another one to that long list.
I mean, he wasn't too far off it, I'll say that.
Man, I'm a bit surprised it didn't go.
And it's crazy that we're saying that, but folks, if you go back and watch the course of this round, you'll understand why. He has had so many long putts. You almost had yourself one there, too. But going to be par cleanups.
Yeah, a little bit soft. We'll all be cleaning up some pars, as that's what this hole did average. Right at par.
Fair enough. We are going to take a look at the scores here. Again, 7 under for Corey Addy, 5 for yourself and Cale. We'll be right back after a short break to finish things off.
We are at our finishing hole for the round, hole 11. 543-foot par 4. We've got some OB added to the hole this year. You've kind of got to land in the grass area that the drone is over top of right now. Those yellow tassels that you see in front, you have to get past to then be inbounds on the island green that we have here. Gonna need about 415 feet to attack the island green from here. but it's very tight on the left side and makes it not all that worth it to go for it. So we're going to see some putter and mid-range shots here to this little peninsula in the middle. Except for Nick Hanson.
Yeah, he puts a move on that, trying to go for the island, and not going to find it, unfortunately.
Yeah, gonna get caught up in the actual island of trees in the middle there. Gonna end up out of bounds. Will be throwing from his last place inbound, so still possible to get his par.
A little tree kiss there to get you centered up.
Yeah, who knew you could hit a tree on this wide open hole, but when you're not trying to go that far, doesn't matter too much.
That's true. Well done with that one, sliding through a couple.
Yeah, Stargator on up there to the basket, looking at a 20-footer for birdie.
Cale trying to punch this one low and slide up there. Gonna come up a little bit short of what he wanted.
Yeah, definitely a bit low. He's going to be kind of deep circle 2 territory there. Corey Addy over here on the left side with a very open line. Gets that forehand up there nicely. Going to be just outside 20 feet.
And as you said, Nick made a lot of forward progress despite the OB, so does still have a chance to save par here and puts himself in a solid position to do so with that upshot, as Cale has got a tricky spot here. What a putt from Cale Leiviska.
Tricky for who? Cale Leiviska. Let's go ahead and run it back.
Punching it around some trees and into the chains. That is a beauty.
Oh, man. Yeah, he called this one, too. He told me before the putt. I've been lining these long ones up. It's about time I hit one. And there it was. Hit that one to finish his round with the much-needed birdie. As does Corey Addy. Going to shoot 8 under par.
Really impressive round from Corey Addy, especially on the putting green. And he kept this back nine clean with 5 birdies to go. So really well done. Solid birdie for yourself.
Putting's what really can get you with the nerves, being on camera for the first time. But not for Corey Addy. Able to keep it together. Shoots an 8 under par. Believe that's a good enough score for lead card, but that high PDGA number going to keep him off of it for the second round.
Yep, so you're going to see how things finish off here. Corey Addy, 8 under par. Yourself and Cale Leiviska at 6 under par. Nick Hanson, bit of an up and down day, going to finish himself at 1 under par. So you take a look at the leaderboard. Our lead card for round 2 will be Braden Sides, Micah Groth, AJ Carey, and again, Grady Shue was tied with Corey Addy and Andrew Marr. We did as well as Evan Scott, but his PDGA number will be what puts Grady Shue as our final member of that lead card for round number 2. Again, folks, if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to Run Productions and hit the bell for notifications to see future coverage. Again, also follow them out on Twitter and Instagram. And big shout out to all of you who help support the coverage. Again, you can follow me if you want, Dustin Murray, over at Follow Dust on Twitter and Instagram, and Dustin Disc Golf on YouTube. And Nathan, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, @inqueen_68286. Thank you guys for tuning in to Ace Run Media.